What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we finally got in our pour 15. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to get this frame coated. I'll probably just do the area underneath the box for now. I still have to really go underneath the cab and clean all that up real quick. But for now, I just want to get this coated so I can get the bed back on it and get this thing back on the road so we can drive it and kind of work out all the drivability issues with it. So that's where we're going to get started with today. So I had a few comments on the last video of when I did this frame up here, this crossbar. People are saying that I should do some wire wheeling and kind of go through and prep this thing a little better. But with the amount of degreasing and pressure washing, I really blew off all the loose rust and everything. So I really think it's going to be just fine with the pour 15. This is what we got right here. Just bought a quart of it. That'll be linked down on Amazon if you want to check it out. It's actually pretty cheap. It's like 40 bucks, I believe, for that quart. So, and that thing should do the entire frame. So either way, we're going to get started and coat this thing. So that I'm just going to brush it on. Just get one of those little cheap chip brushes. Go through, brush everything, the frame, axle, leaves, brush it all. And that'll really help with the rust, and it kind of neutralizes the rust so it doesn't just come right back through. If you were to just paint it, I mean, obviously the best way to do this would be to sandblast the frame and get all the rust off the frame, seal it with an epoxy, but we're not doing that. We're not stripping this entire frame all the way down. We're gonna do pour 15. It's proven. I've actually tried the chassis saver, which is essentially the same product, just a different brand, and it works really well on rust. So I think one thing I'm going to do before I do the pour 15 is, if you remember how I put that crossbar, that inside bar inside of this cross member all the way across, I think I'm going to drill a few holes in this crossbar and weld the outer to the inner, and I think that'll really help it, give it some strength, and just make sure it's 100% stout. Obviously, it's probably even better than factory right now, but I want to go all the way and make sure it's not going to have any issues. So we're going to probably put a few in here. I already welded the inside right in here, but I want to get, especially this side, I want to drill some holes over here and weld that side in. There we go, guys. Those are all welded in, so that should definitely help out. Let's get the pour 15 out, get a brush, and let's go to town. There it is, guys. Got a couple coats on, looking really good. So we just gotta let this stuff dry up. So the last part of the frame, what the tackle is just underneath the cab, but that's gonna be another day. I gotta get under there and clean it all up, and then I'll probably pull that shield off of the fuel tank and just take it all the way off and paint it. Easy enough to pull off. So let's let this stuff dry up, and then we can throw the bed back on. All right, guys, been a couple days, so this paint's nice and hardened up. So what we got to do is get the bed back on, get the, obviously with the body lift, the 1.5 inch blocks I have for it, and then I want to get some of the front end on, like I said. so we can get out and drive this thing and see how it's running. Our boy's starting to look like a truck again, so just gotta put the grill on. Side marker lights, if I can find them. I have no clue where I put them. And then we should be pretty much ready, but there is one other thing that needs attention, and that's the steering right here. This big knuckle hits on the alternator when I'm turning, so there's quite a bit of room in that alternator from the alternator to the block. So what I'm planning on is, hopefully this will work, but I'm going to try to get a shorter belt and suck that alternator towards the block. I'm going to loosen up the alternator, see how much room I have to move in, and then I'll just bring that belt into the parts store, match it up to one that's just a touch shorter. Alright, you can see it on in there. I pulled that alternator in towards the block and I got plenty of clearance now, so I'm gonna run to the parts store, see if I can't find a belt that's just a little bit shorter, maybe like a 1/2 inch shorter, and that should do the trick. All right guys, here's the belt I picked up. So this is a 41 1/4 long. So it almost fits on with this bracket, but I need to modify it just a little bit to suck that alternator back in towards the block. There's plenty of room from the alternator to the block. It's just bottoming out on this adjustment here. So what I think I'm gonna do is just drill into it and grind it out. Probably another, I don't know, 1/4 inch maybe, and that should give me enough room to get that belt on. Well, we got the belt on, so I had to actually pull that bottom bolt out, swing the alternator in just to get the belt on, and it's fully in position. It's actually almost tight, so that should work pretty good. I'm gonna get the nut on it, put some tension on this belt, crank down the alternator, get it all tightened up, and should be good. We got a ton of clearance now. There it is guys, belt's on, and look at all that room we got. So it should clear plenty fine now. One more thing I gotta do real quick is we gotta swap this ECU out. So a huge shout out to, I'll probably screw up your name, Victor Aguirre. He commented on one of those videos where I asked if you guys had an ECU, and he pulled through with a manual ECU. So huge thank you to you, Victor. We're gonna throw this thing in. I believe this is a 98 or a 99. According to Off-Road Solutions, this part number is one of the ECUs that will directly interchange with what's in my truck now. So I shouldn't have to do any wiring, no repinning. I should just be able to plug it in and be done. So we're gonna throw it in right now. We'll fire it up. I have like a long list of automatic transmission codes on the ECU right now. So we'll swap this one in. Obviously, those aren't gonna be there, but we need to make sure everything else on the truck still functions and obviously still runs. So I'll swap this thing in and see what it does. That boy's ECU is in. Let's fire it up and see what it does. So far so good. For some reason it started way faster than the other ECU. I don't know what that has to do with, but it fired up a lot faster. Well guys, ECU worked. So as you saw, it fired up way faster than it ever did with the automatic ECU. I don't know if somehow the ECU changes that. I have no idea. Doesn't really seem like it would, but either way, it runs. Everything seems to be functioning correctly. So I'm very happy that the ECU is working out. So huge thank you to you, Victor. So I want to go drive it a little bit and kind of let that ECU calibrate itself, see if that idle issue kind of works itself out. One thing I did do, since I know this throttle cable was all screwed up, and I'm pretty sure the guy messed with that screw right there, the idle adjustment screw, I kind of I adjusted that a little bit just to bring the idle up, and it already is a lot smoother. So we're gonna see once it gets warmed up and everything, kind of see how it idles and how it goes down the road. I know this alignment is really crappy. You can see the tires are all cambered in and towed out, so it's probably not going to drive the best right now, but we can kind of get an idea of how the motor itself is running and if we need to do anything else to it. Alright guys, this thing's running pretty good, but one of my VSBs is clicking really loud. You can hear that. If I unplug it, it gets quiet. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll do a little research and figure out, make sure all this is plumbed right, but other than that, it's running pretty good. Got to look like a little bit of a coolant leak out of that front hose. Not a big deal though. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear that on the GoPro. As soon as I got up to like 10 miles an hour, sounded like the wheel was about to fall off. Something was rubbing, or I really don't know. I'll have to jack up the front, spin the wheels, and see it sounds like something's binding up, or maybe a extremely bad wheel bearing or something. So we got to figure out what's going on up here. Well, nothing really sounds or feels abnormal. I can hear the brakes, but that's about it. It wasn't 4-wheel drive. Well, I had the hubs locked in, but the tranny was in 2. So I'm gonna unlock the hubs and go out again and see if it does it again. Well, it's not doing it with the hubs unlocked, so it's got to be something in the 4-wheel drive. Maybe it's a bad CV axle, or it could be because they're cranked up so high, they're making a bunch of noise. These torsion bars are maxed out, so I'll probably go home and see if I can lower these torsion bars to check over the CV axles and everything and make sure all that's good. Well guys, I think I found the noise. These CV axles, both sides are just floppy loose in the hub. So I'm gonna pull the hub off and see what's going on in there. Oh, I got this hub apart and everything seems a little bit loose to me. The axle is loose in the hub. This hub is pretty loose as well. There's a bushing here, which I don't know if that's replaceable or if my CV is worn out, but I imagine what's happening is while this is turning, it's kind of just vibrating and smacking around inside of here, and that's what's creating all the noise. So I got to figure out what I can do, if I can replace these bushings or if I need a new CV or what. All right guys, I found some bushings. You can actually replace these inner bushings, and obviously I think that's a little too much play. I know even brand new bushings, people are saying have a little bit of play, but I think that's a bit much. And then I might also try to find a new set of hubs because these things are pretty loose too. So I'm just gonna put this thing back together while I wait for parts. All right guys, I think I'm gonna call it for this video. So let me know if you have any ideas on that VSV tick. I know they tick normally, but I think that one seems a little extra loud, and I can hear it inside the cab pretty loud too. So anyway, we gotta order up some parts for the front. I'm gonna do inner outer bushings on both spindles because they're both loose, and then both those hubs seem really loose too. So I'm gonna hit the junkyard, see if I can find a set of hubs in good shape. If not, we'll have to order that too. But we'll get some parts on the way for this front end, get this thing back on the road working good. But other than that, it actually runs really good. Got pretty good power, and exhaust sounds great too, so happy about that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.